Job done this weekend for the team as a whole. What is that? Just take that next step and that postseason mentality that we've been talking about this whole time.
I think it's just they had the opportunity to take the next step, and it's like, what are we going to do with it? And you could see that they were taking it no matter what.
For you as a coach, where it's the first time for you as a head coach where you're advancing past the regional round, what does that moment sort of mean for you?
I just super proud of this group, proud of our three seniors that have been here since year one. It's been a long journey, and to watch them get what they want and in the fashion that they did it was just excellent to sit back and watch them.
For Taya and Ariel in particular, where middle bottom of the lineup, they come through, and it seems like they just continue to come through all weekend. What does it mean to get that production from the middle to the back end of the order?
It's huge. I think we've been talking all year that we need everybody to contribute and that we can't just rely on a couple. And so to be able to rely on the top and then to go to the middle and then for the bottom to flip it back up, we really got to see a lot of that this weekend. And I think that shows why we had so much success.
There was extra power numbers. Kai had a triple, Paige had a double. What do you sort of attribute that to? Is that just X factors in the postseason just kind of happening? What was it?
Coach K.
Yeah, no, for sure. Coach KJ, what she's done with these guys in the weight room all year. I mean, it started in the summer before we returned, and then it's just continued on. You could see, I think we swing the bat really well, but then you could see the power numbers really increase. I've been talking about the power numbers all year, and I think it's always been there. It just took these guys a little bit. Sometimes you just need a pivotal moment in your season that gets you to go, okay, I get it. I know what I need to do. And I think you got to see that with Taya this weekend. I think you got to see that with Paige. I love the double that she hit down the line. So it's just, I don't know. I don't think you always know when things are going to show up. We always want it to show up as quick as possible, but I think we just have to trust and be patient with our process and know that it'll show up.
Every team is a little bit different. You've talked about that. They established their own identities. But one thing that was really noted this weekend in particular was how loose your team was compared to all the other teams that were there, especially on that big game against Arkansas, the second game. Your team was out there kind of having fun. Arkansas looked really tight in the dugout. I mean, coaches were engaging with the players, being really active, and it was just a levity that didn't exist. Is that part of the culture? Is that something you guys have wanted them to do, or is that just something they've kind of organically done themselves?
I think this group, they understand what it takes to win. They know what they need to do to win. I feel like they have the formula. It's about the execution that goes along with it. And I just think they understand what they need to do. So with that, it's not us constantly coaching these guys up or treating regionals anything different than Pac12 or a non-conference. It's treating every game, every inning the same way. I think that's what you would see from our group more than anything this past weekend.
And could you speak to just not just the team, but really the coaching staff has really evolved this season? I mean, I'm watching you guys. I've seen moments where different things, but overall, the coaching staff is really doing a great job with the team. Could you just speak to the assistants and kind of what they mean to you as a head coach? I mean, I'm noticing that you're what I will characterize as a little bit more delegating than perhaps you've done previously. Maybe that's just perception, but it's a trust that you have in them, and it's kind of paying off.
Yeah, I think for myself as a head coach, you have to trust the people around you, and that is your staff, your coaches, your staff, and your players. For me to try to do everything makes no sense. Then why would I have these great people around me? I love what they do. Our coaches, just the people that they are, and that's the number one thing. Like that, our athletes get to be surrounded by them every day. I think they have a huge impact on our athletes and just in life in general. But then you look at every one of them and they were just superstar, stud athletes that could still do it if they wanted to. And I just think that connection, they get it. They know what it feels like in postseason. They know what it feels. They just understand this process and they get it as a player, but then also as a coach. And I think that allows us as coaches just to keep our players calm and to stay loose and to enjoy that. Coach Martyr all year has been preaching about be joyful. Coach Martyr's talked about have joy in what you do and in playing the game. Coach Reagan has talked about be grateful and thankful. Like right now we are here and we're going to turn around and we're going to leave tomorrow. So we can be miserable that we're short, or we can be thankful and grateful that we get this opportunity. Coach Liz, she's been talking about all year about taking care of your people and then taking care of what's out in front of us. So I just think all three of them and the messages that they have been sharing with our athletes all year, you're just seeing it come to fruition. So
that sort of message of the weekend, fate happens, so redemption will follow. What does that mean for you?
Just that things are, I don't think things happen just to happen. I think everything happens for a reason. You know, last year we didn't get what we wanted at the Arkansas Regional, and it forced us as coaches, as athletes, to go about things different. And it started with the summer, you know, and then here we are and we're back at the Arkansas Regional, and they were thrilled because we got an opportunity to make it a right. And I think that was really, really important to our athletes. And I think that they understand that if we trust in our journey, we trust in our process, then we shouldn't be tense, we shouldn't be tight. We just need to go play and enjoy it.
That fifth inning seems to have been really, really good to you guys this weekend. Was there anything in particular? I know that the coaches kind of talked about this is the seventh inning, treat it like the seventh inning, and the team responded. But is there anything in particular? Do you think it was just more time seeing the pitching staff that you guys were kind of able to make the adjustments, or was there, a change in weather where the ball got really light all of a sudden? Something that that kind of catalyst that made that fifth inning what it was?
I honestly, I don't even think it has anything to do with the inning. I just think it has to do with this team right now. We've been talking a ton about postseason mentality and what type of mentality that we want to have. And that's treating every inning like it's the seventh inning. And I think you just got to see them do this past weekend.
Could you speak to, it seems to me that there's a big contingent of fans, parents, probably a little bit bigger than have been in the past. And they're really loud and boisterous, and the energy that they're bringing to the players. Could you just talk a little bit about what that means to the team to have that on-road energy?
Yeah, I think for our athletes, whether we're at home or we're away, and for them to be able to look in the stands and to see their families and their friends and all their loved ones there to support them, it just goes a long way for them. They appreciate it. And we were in a big venue, and there was a lot more Arkansas Razorbacks than there were Oregon Ducks. But to see our group come together as a small group and to be as loud as they can, and for our dugout to feed off of it, I loved it.
Sorry to repeat, Missy, but about Oklahoma State, obviously you played them at the very, very beginning of the season, their first game, your third. What still matters, resonates, what carries over from any of that? Obviously, Kelly Maxwell's still a very good pitcher. What about that game can you take from that 3+ months ago and try to apply again this weekend?
I just think it was a really, really long time ago. And I think both teams have grown tremendously since then. I think they're excellent at what they do on the mound, offensively, defensively. I think Kenny has coached them. He coached them really well, and what he's done with that program. So we know it's going to be a tough battle, and we're excited to go to Stillwater.
What makes Maxwell that challenging? Isn't that the number of pitchers who struck out Bunk twice is you can count on one hand, and she's one of them. So what is it that makes her that challenging as a strikeout pitcher?
I think she's just elite at what she does. She moves the ball well, she throws the ball hard, she knows how to change speeds.
How much you talk about familiarity? With Tara and Bunk played there many years ago. You've played there probably hundreds of times.
Yep.
So what does familiarity with Stillwater and Cowgirl Stadium mean, if anything, to this team this weekend?
I think it's great. I think anytime you have familiarity, it goes a long way. We played at that stadium. We understand the fan support that they have at that stadium. It's not going to be a first time for us. It's familiar. We've been there, and know what to expect.
Bunk certainly gets her due inside this program, probably inside this conference. Do you think she gets her due in this sport? Do you think she gets enough credit? All the situational splits. I don't need to bore you with all the numbers. You know how good she is in every one of those. There are certain ones that are just so off the charts. Does she get enough credit for those things?
I'm not quite sure what you're saying, like in the softball world, or
yeah. If there are household names in the sport, is your second baseman who's hitting .520 something with 2 outs and runners in scoring position, getting enough credit for being the clutch player that she is and has been for you for 5 years?
I think for Allie Bunker, I don't think she really cares. And I don't either. Like, what I care about is what she has done for this program, just how clutch she's been in all the years that she's been here, the leadership that she's provided. To me, like, those are the things that matter to me, and I think those are the same things that would matter to her as well. Recognition, is it nice? For sure. But I think for her, she just has unfinished business. She is wanting to leave her mark on this program and leave this program better than it was when she got here, and she's doing that. And I think that's the most important thing that she could do.
How much of that is because of the way she's wired and that, and I mean this in a positive context, Missy, but that she's an accountant or a future accountant and that they don't get a whole lot of credit either. So, but that another personality might have a really big chip on their shoulder if they didn't have the level of stature and accolades and fame and all that.
I think Allie Bunker is very confident in who she is. And when you're confident in who you are, you don't need other people's approval in anything you do.
There's about her that in the pregame, all the girls will do what they do, mess with each other, tease each other a little bit, and the handshakes and all that. Nobody will mess with her.
I don't know what to say. I think she's great at what she does. Our team absolutely loves her. She's a huge leader. She is one of the biggest, reasons. They're all have contributed to everything that we've done and while we are here. But like her and Tara and just the way that they have led, Kate, how they've led this program, that's to me what it's all about. So.
End of the season, everyone's obviously kind of going through the aches and pains or whatever. But this weekend in particular, it seemed like, the players were magnets and the balls were always hitting. KK, I think, had like 3 or 4 in the same at bat where, she's got bruises and whatnot.
Yeah.
Could you just speak to what it means to kind of, like you talk about, clutch up at the end of the season? Everyone's got their pains, but kind of making sure they're ready to go.
Yeah, it's at the end of the season. Everybody across the country, the 16 teams that are left are all feeling the same way. It is what it is. And it's, you just have to persevere. I think Coach KJ does a great job of getting these guys to recover. I love what KP, our trainer, does with them in between games as well. So I think they all get it. It's just, it is what it is. I would rather be dealing with that than not be playing at all. And I think they would tell you the same thing.
Can you speak to the conference as a whole, where 4 Pac-12 teams advancing to Supers, you an unseeded team getting to advance to a Super? What does it mean for the difficulty of the conference to show up in postseason play?
I just remember in non-conference that it was really important to us that we played a tough non-conference schedule, or we would not be prepared for the Pac, which is it's a super regional every single weekend. But what the Pac does is it prepares us for postseason and what is next. And so I'm thankful. I know our athletes are thankful that we get an opportunity to play in a tough game every single time we step, foot on the field to play a Pac-12 school.
You've talked about, I know you focus on the next team and that's what your focus is, but you are aware of what's going on in general in the softball world. The parity in softball, you've talked about that. Mm-hmm. This last weekend really exemplified, teams that you thought would not have any chance of losing lost. Teams are going on that, just could you speak to how the softball world, I think was a quote I saw, softball doesn't know who's supposed to win?
Yeah, the game doesn't know who's supposed to win. And that's why for us it's really important that we obviously know we're going to play Oklahoma State. But it's about having a faceless opponent. Anybody can beat, the other on any given day. And our athletes understand that and know that. And I think that's why it's important that we play every single pitch, every single inning like it's the 7th.
Would you rather be the favorite, or would you rather have people picking against you?
It doesn't matter. I'm just caught up in what our team wants to do. How they go, I'm going to go with them. So if we're the favorite, great. If we're not, it's okay too.
I guess we moved Hannah back down prior to this past weekend. They did it, I think even before Tucson, maybe against Utah. I'm just curious of how much of that is either how she's doing at the moment, because you weren't doing it strictly against lefties, so it wasn't like you were trying to separate the 2 lefties at the top. Just curious strategically, was it more about how she's doing, the pitch assortment from the opposing pitcher, or were you trying to create more runners on base later in the lineup for Taya, Paige, and whatnot that some speed in the lineup in the 7 spot in particular.
I love her on the top, the lineup, and then if we have her down in the bottom, I'm good with it as well. I think she provides different things for us in the top and being a table setter. And then if we have her more in the middle, it has an opportunity for her again to be a table setter, but then also to clutch up and drive a ball through the gap. So I think it's just at the time what we're needing and what we're trying to accomplish with her and even the others, and and just some of the moves that we make in the lineup. So I just love how versatile she is. I mean, she could bunt for a base hit, she could do a bounce slap, and then she could drive a gap.
There's unfinished business. You guys are going to Oklahoma State planning to win, but kind of taking a moment, could you tell me what you were thinking when Ariel barreled up that ball as it was clearing the wall, what your thoughts were? Because Ariel mentioned like she didn't really even realize, I think Allie had mentioned too, didn't realize the game was over. Allie was thinking there's 3 more outs. Yeah. What was your first immediate thoughts and reaction?
I loved what we were doing that inning, and I thought it was important for us to continue to score as many runs as possible. I think Arkansas, their lineup is just pretty potent and just very, very powerful. So I felt like as many runs as we could get possible. I remember the pitch before, she took the changeup, and I really loved how she took it, and I just felt like she was going to hit something hard. I didn't know the game was over either. I just didn't. I was just thinking, okay, let's continue, to score more runs. But I just didn't. I mean, we were just caught up. I think that just shows you just how caught up this group, all of us were in the moment. But I love to see that from her. She's been working hard all year, and you could see her average, go up this year, but her power numbers early on were a little bit lower. And then now to see her kind of working the combination of the two, it's great.